Alright, are you down with the sickness? Welcome to another episode of MMA Sickness. Today we got an interesting one. Coming in and talking a little bit more about PEDs and the overall harm and what it's done to the sport and etc. You know, kind of brought forefront recently by the recent development in TJ Dillasaw relinquishing his belt because they found something. We don't exactly know what or how much yet. They just told him that they found some substances, and then out of nowhere, without anybody giving any inclination of what should or shouldn't happen, TJ says, "Hey, I'm giving up the belt."
Yeah, I think that's the red alarm. He relinquishes it instantly
Out of nowhere.
I feel like that means one of two things. Number one, I think it's going to be a big suspension coming down, because I'm thinking number two is it maybe more than one maybe,
right?
Maybe what he's taking and then what he's using to mask. I mean, they got him as red-handed as you can get, right? I think that probably has something to do with relinquishing it instantly, but it's just frustrating as a fan to see that continuously happen, and it with the guys at the top, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and the biggest thing that really causes stress for me is out of nowhere. Like, nobody told him to relinquish the belt. Nobody brought it up yet. Nobody said, hey, this is what's going to need to happen. Like, he just preemptively does it by himself before anybody. Like, that tells me you fucked up, and you fucked up bad.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what that says. And if his manager told him, hey, this is going to make you look better, your manager lied, because it makes you look like a snake in the grass, as other people in the MMA community would say. I mean, it really makes you look shady.
Well, I mean, back when the big feud was going on, I mean, Cody Garbrandt straight up called him out and said, yeah, he used to do, PEDs all the time.
He showed us how to do it if we wanted to do it, I think is what he said, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of times when people are fighting each other, they're going to say some shit, just to say some shit.
Right.
But now that it comes out, it's like, well, was he just being straight up, or was he just talking shit?
Right. Was there more credibility to this than there could have been? Yeah.
And the other thing, too, which I talked to you earlier about is, if it's a diuretic, it's one thing, right? If it's a part of weight cut, it's one thing. You don't relinquish your belt instantly if they caught you with a diuretic to dehydrate to make your weight.
No.
So that's what I'm saying is it's more than a diuretic situation.
I mean, this is really unprecedented. I mean, nobody's ever just been like, oh, look, I fucked up, here you go. I mean, we had to peel it away from John Jones, like, and now you have just, hey guys, so here's the belt. I know you're all going to come get it.
Whoops, my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoops, you caught me, is really what it says. I mean,
right.
And you caught me really red-handed. But again, is it just because we only hear about the top guys that it tends to be, the people that are getting popped? Guys in the top 5, champions, former champions.
Sure.
People fighting for the belts. Is it just because we don't hear about the guys in the lower levels that are doing things?
Right.
Or is it really the PEDs are correlating to better performances?
I think both things can be true. I think that obviously PEDs, I mean, they're literally called performance enhancing drugs. Like, it definitely does that. But I also think that, just like with anything, we're going to hear more about the top people, because that's who we care about, than we do about the people in the lower levels. There's been, I mean, if you go through the history of the UFC, there's been a ton of lower level fighters that have popped hot and then been dismissed without a word of you ever even knowing their name, because they only had 2 fights and nobody knew who they were yet. Rather than a John Jones or a TJ Dillashaw or somebody like that, where everybody knows and it's a big deal to everybody because this is one of the top guys. So I think it's definitely an epidemic across everything. I don't think it's just with the top guys.
Yeah, and I feel like when they made the move over to USADA, there was a lot of everybody getting popped. Not everybody, obviously, but...
according to the Diaz brothers, everybody.
Well, according to them. And
everybody's on drugs.
Everybody's on drugs. But you had some of those lower guys that were getting popped as we're transitioning away from, I don't want to say a free-for-all, but before USADA, there was a lot of things going on. So you had main guys getting popped, but you did have lower level guys getting popped. I feel like now that we've been in USADA for, multiple years now, I hear about it less, but the only ones I'm hearing about now are the guys at the top.
Well, not just guys. We got
true.
girls getting popped hot now too.
That's too. So do you honestly believe that everybody is doing some level of something that they know is borderline?
Yeah.
You honestly believe that?
Sure. I mean, I really do. And it's the reason I think that is just because we've turned to such a supplement age of health now, where, I mean, with what we're eating and the diets that we have, like, I mean, everybody should be on a multivitamin. I mean, everybody should be doing, a lot of these different things for their own health, and these supplements that we get that people are spending. Your everyday Joe going to work from 9 to 5 is on $300 worth of protein powder and Vitagreens and weight loss pills and thermogenic pills and their multivitamin, all just their everyday little cocktail, and that's just your everyday Joe. Talking about somebody who's trying to perform at an elite level, who's gonna have not just, they don't want to do the off the shelf GNC whey protein. They're gonna get some refined, nice, super protein powder. Yeah, I think everybody is doing something. Whether they think it's just protein powder or they're like, hey, yeah, this has got some shit in it, I don't know. But, I mean, I think we're taking a lot more supplements and puts us at a lot higher of a risk for accidental PED use than ever before, if accidental PED use is a thing.
I'm glad you said the word accidental PED, because I just feel like that's it's just an easy way out. And I understand things can happen with some of these products that are overseas, but if you're a top level guy and that you get paid for this job, why would you be risking any of these products? Why wouldn't you be going strictly with a product that has lab tests and they strictly do this? It's not from China, that sort of thing. So I just feel like the accidental PE or the accidental supplement, it's the tainted pig meat in Mexico, this, that, and the other thing. We're done. That doesn't work anymore. We're over that.
Now somebody knows. Do you think on all cases the fighter knew, or how much do they put in to their nutritionist or their coach or their, hey, give me what I need, just put it in front of me, I'm going to eat it?
That was my next question. There seems to be, and I'm not going to say the name of certain camps, but there seems to be certain camps that have big name athletes that over the years have had some slip ups and some, guys hiding under cages for half a day to get away from drug tests type of deal at certain camps. So my question is, do you think it's the athletes bringing it into the gym, or it's already in the gym from, let's say, your trainer or the owner of the gym that is putting it through their nutritionist, putting it into the guy without his knowing? Or is it the fighter himself doing it at home without the coach knowing?
So I think have you ever been to Dwayne Ludwig's website?
I have not recently.
So Dwayne Ludwig is who, by the way, for people who don't know, is TJ's coach. He on his website, literally at the bottom.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, at the bottom he's the main coach, and here's his accomplishments: UFC fighter, blah blah. His second listed accomplishment, of why you should go to this gym, is I coached TJ Dillasaw to a championship. So to say that there's not a lot of pressure on these coaches to have their fighters do good so that they look good, I mean, is an understatement. So as a coach, and your guy's right there, you just got to push him through this little bit of a ceiling that he's stuck at, and he just can't quite get to the cardio he needs. As a coach, do you grab some of these things and give it to him, and maybe knowing that he wouldn't even take it if he knew, but just this little bit, just a little bit, not a lot, just this little bit's going to get him through that one more training session that he needs to get to make you look better as a coach?
Yeah, the pressure's there. The pressure's there. For me, being in some of these programs, big football programs and big, wrestling programs, that kind of thing, for me, it seems to always come from the top down as far as coaches down. So the problem, if I believe that, the problem with that is everybody in Ludwig's camp now is on gear.
Right.
Is my, everybody at Winklejohn, okay? Everybody there, if John Jones is dirty and he's the top guy, these coaches, if the theory is correct that it's coming from the coaches, everybody inside that camp now is suspect in my book. They're all in that triangle of...
Even Holly.
Don't even get me started. Steve, don't get me started on Holly. It's too much to go into. But yeah, when it's the top guys getting caught inside these camps that have 12 to 15 fighters in the UFC, how can I not think that everybody's on gear?
Right.
I mean, it's just frustrating as a fan. The other thing is, does banning it make the sport any better? Because it's not that long ago that we remember some fights that just literally cannot happen today because of the substances these guys are on. Let's talk about the one of the things that I thought was the most bizarre when we changed from kind of a free-for-all to USADA was guys' chins and the ability to take a punch for 3 rounds compared to now. I mean, some of those fights
obviously
can't happen anymore.
Obviously, we're talking about the Vittors.
We're talking about the Vittors,
and the Wanderlei Silvas, and
Dan Hendersons, who have
right.
given us some of the best fights. Hats off to those guys. Right. Amazing.
And absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to that age-old same thing with baseball, really, right? You know, baseball gets this huge tainted Barry Bonds. I mean, it's almost like we're trying to write Barry Bonds out of the history books.
Yeah, no, exactly. And is the sport better if everybody's already on it, right? Why not just say let's open the books and let's go back to the old way?
So here, okay.
You bring your freak, you bring your Uberim, and I'll bring my Brock Lesnar, and let's see what the fuck happens.
So, for me, honestly, truth be told, baseball is my, my sport. I love baseball. I don't mind if they're all on drugs. I don't. You know what? Because it's entertainment. And you know what's entertaining? Home runs. Like
I couldn't agree more.
Like, I don't care if these guys grow wings. Because here's the thing. Steroids...
grow wings, nice.
Steroids do not make a home run hitter. They might add 10 feet to the baseball, so those 15 home runs that would have landed in the warning track are now going over the fence. Great. But you still have to hit a round ball with a round bat squarely at 95 miles an hour. Like,
it doesn't make you hit home runs.
No.
So
I'm down with everybody, and same thing. The Roger Clemens is doing steroids too, throwing 104 miles an hour for 10 rounds or 10 innings, right? Great. I'm okay with it all. If they want to do that to their body, great. In mixed martial arts, I struggle a little bit more with saying that it's okay because this becomes a danger kind of thing. When you have, a 175-pound Vitor Belfort who can hit like a freaking Mack truck, like, necessarily isn't the safest of things. So I think I draw a line there for me, just personally, from sports, just because this becomes a combat sport where an unfair advantage like that to somebody who's not doing it, who's just having a steak and egg diet, who's not having a diet of roids, I think becomes a kind of situation to me.
I definitely agree. I agree. I mean, I don't want to see everybody on roids in the UFC. I don't want people to think that. You have to ask the question, if you think everybody's on roids, why not just let everybody do what they're going to do and let's see what happens? I don't condone that. That's not what I would want to see.
Right.
But it's just one of those questions where, okay, well, if it's so stringent, only the top level guys can get what I think these guys are doing is microdosing.
Right.
Just enough. They're on the cutting edge of science to get around these tests, so they think they know and they think they've got it, and the tests are getting better. So the top guys are on it anyway.
Right.
So
now with the microdosing and all that, so no, I'm not saying that that's okay at all whatsoever. I think it all should be. I'll make the statement now that
a microdose is a dose.
Right. It should all be gone. But in difference, right? It's like if it's a free for all, you're on some stuff that's just going to make you look like a monster. You're going to look like Goro from freaking Mortal Kombat.
But remember how entertaining that was?
Right.
Fuck. Watching Vitor Belfort with no neck walking out to the octagon, man. You can't tell me that wasn't some exciting shit.
Right.
Or watching Dan Hendo just be able to take punishment for rounds just to land one punch. Without any type of extracurricular, Steve, we would have never seen those fights, man.
And honestly, I think if we didn't have those, the sport wouldn't have become what it is today.
Oh, 100%.
Now, again, all that being said, I don't think we're at the point to where we need that no more. I mean, we still have some of these crazy fights. We still have some awesome entertainment because mixed martial arts has grown now to where we're seeing fighters like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Israel Adesanya and Sage Northcutt that are coming out to be these like true, actual mixed martial art athletes where they're, super professionally proficient in multiple, forms of mixed martial arts. And that's great, and that's entertaining. From before it was, hey, I'm a wrestler, hey, I'm a boxer, well, I can't box you, I'm a wrestler, I'm going to take these steroids so now I can box you.
Yeah, you're right there. I mean, the sport has definitely evolved. It's just, I mean, I don't honestly know where to go from there just based on the fact that neither of us want to see steroids. The sport has evolved, but
what do you do?
Are the top guys just evolving with better gear?
Well, I think you're always going to have that. I think everybody's always going to be trying to get better and trying to be better. And if that's, they're trying to get away with the most that they can get away with, at least it's going to be a little bit, not just a massive amount that's changing their whole bone structure.
Yeah, I guess the thing for me is, what do we do next? Because these guys are still doing stuff. And some guys are getting away with it, right?
Right.
For every guy that you're catching.
No, are they? Are they? Or are we catching this? Or are we starting to catch more of this?
You were going right where I was going to go. Is I would say for every guy that we're not catching, there's probably two other guys, or for every guy that we are catching, there's probably two other guys we're not catching.
You think it's that big of a gap?
Probably just because, some guys are probably not testing all the time, right? So, guys are going to slip through the cracks.
So
and like I said, like we've agreed, I mean, the A-Rod scandal in MLB, the reason he got caught is because the test finally caught up to the drugs he was taking. The clear, as they called it, because it could clear through any drug test you ever went until the drug test caught up.
Right.
So I think we're in that stage where some of these drugs and the way they're doing them, they're a little bit ahead of the curve, and now we're starting to get them.
Right. And I mean, and then you get all these complaints from everybody where I'm just trying to train and I've been tested 47 times this week. And you know what? Okay, great. That's part of the sport. Like that is what it is. Guess what? You're going to have to take this piss test.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, is there a line to where that starts? Is it, hey, you're a lower level fighter, you get tested once in a while, to where you're the champ, you're getting tested nonstop? Or is it but now
based on money.
Yeah, take a step back, become the business. You're paying for this.
Right, yeah. Exactly, that's what I'm saying, is there's definitely guys that we don't see at the top level that are getting away with it. Where do we go now? Do we just continue the road that we're on and we're just going to keep catching these guys along the road? And are we handing out... I mean, we got to figure out the suspensions. Because these guys that are, I ratted on two other UFC fighters, I'm going to get a reduced sentence.
Yep.
Well, you know what? We need to have something in bylaws that says, hey, first offense is a year, second offense, you're gone.
And that has to be adhered to.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care if you're John Jones.
Right.
Or if...
That being the biggest of these kind of scandalous situations to where, how is that okay now?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I agree.
Supposed to do a 4-year ban, does 18 months, and then fights for the belt instantly.
Yep.
I mean, granted, it's entertainment. We're going to make some exceptions. But it's got to be better than that. It has to be more cement than that.
For sure. There needs to be a structure in place of here's what happens and here's what we're going to stick to. But I mean, if you try to take a step back and you try to become a business owner and you're looking at it as, hey, John Jones is my money maker. I'm making a ton of money on John Jones. Everybody wants to see John Jones fight. Oh, he popped hot again. Fuck. What do I do now? And if you can get away with getting him out of it, I mean, do you not try to get him out of it? Hey, the rules are the rules. Guess what? He doesn't fight for 4 years. That effectively ends his career. So the next 4 years of building the sport is now gone because I can't do it on the back of John Jones.
It's the classic business versus alienating some fans.
Right.
In the process.
Right.
As a business, Dana White would rather not test. Let's be honest. I feel like Dana White would probably just say, let's just get it ridiculous. But on the other hand, I mean, how many fans did he? I mean, obviously we watched because I'm not a fan of John Jones anymore. When he was starting up, big fan. He had the wool pulled over my eyes. He goes with God or whatever he was putting on those first couple fights. Young kid, getting up. But now it's just to the point where he's getting all these exceptions, and for me, I feel like the majority of the fan base has turned on him based on what's happened. So, granted, you're giving the fans what they want because they want to see somebody beat his ass.
Right. I think, he's lived long enough to see himself become the villain, right? Now,
Yeah.
I think he did that to himself. I think he lost a majority of his fan base when you're involved in a hit and run with a pregnant chick and you run back for your drugs and then run away again. I mean...
And then you come out 2 weeks later and try to act like you're holy again.
Right.
It just is so phony.
I mean, I don't know. People make fucked up decisions. People can feel one way, act a different way. So I struggle with... I don't know John Jones personally, so I can't really try to make a testament to his character because I don't know. But, I mean... We all make bad decisions, but generally we don't get in a hit and run with a pregnant chick, run back, grab our drugs, and run away again. I mean, that becomes a...
And still become the poster boy of a company.
Right.
As big as the UFC.
Right.
So...
The NFL we see recently is really starting to crack down on this kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. How far away are we in the UFC from that?
Right. I mean, now you're looking... But again, it's still a time frame. Kareem Hunt, right? Boom, off the team, gone. Kansas City cuts him. Nobody picks him up. Guess what? Next year starts, he's already on the team.
And only a 4-game suspension.
So,
where Ray Rice 3 years ago was gone, deleted, right. Delete button. You're in the trash bin.
Because he was at the end of his career when Kareem Hunt's at the beginning.
So basically, as a fan, we're just gonna have to put up with the fact that the guys on the top level are always gonna get better treatment. And we're just going to have to endure, I guess, pretty much.
I mean, at least I see...
As a fan.
Right. At least I see the NFL doing something. At least they're like, hey, you know what, we're going to take a stand against this. It's not going to be accepted. You can't beat your kids. You can't beat your girlfriend. You can't be doing this kind of stuff. Which I think we kind of missed with the John Jones, whole ordeal. Kind of getting away from the PEDs aspect of it, but just... into the personal aspect of it before making him the poster boy again. It was a quick turnaround. There wasn't a big, hey, you're done, there's a thing against you. It was, oh, hey, you're suspended, mostly because you're in legal trouble, but come on back. So we're still trying to build the sport. The UFC is still growing. I mean, what builds it? Names, big names. So you run into a very weird kind of conundrum where as a fan, as somebody who I'm like, hey, no, that shouldn't be accepted. That's against the rules. I want to see people that abide by the rules. At the same time, too, well, yeah, I want to see somebody, knock them out.
Yeah, right. So, do you think if, at the point that John Jones was trying to come back, if Dana still had Conor active on the roster, let's say another powerhouse like Ronda, and maybe... You got Cormier, right? Big powerhouses. Do you think he would have been that willing to let him come back that fast? Because I feel like he was at a point where, over those 2 years, he lost some big stars.
Right.
And with the sale to ESPN, do you think he got some preferential treatment just based on where the UFC was at that point?
I think you bring up a really good statement there with the ESPN partnership, because this is obviously, that's pre-ESPN, but probably not pre- trying to get this happen.
Yeah, this deal's in the works.
Right. So knowing that, hey, we're about to sign this big contract with ESPN, we need some names
and some numbers.
Do they let it happen? Did ESPN play a bigger role in John Jones coming back than we think?
Yeah, exactly. And then when you start thinking about that, then you got to question everything that's in play, including USADA.
Sure.
And if we're going to start questioning USADA, then what are we doing drug tests for then? It's just the PED subject right now. There's a lot of facets to it, and it's hard to figure out which one I hate the most. The fact that the guys are doing it, or the fact that I feel like everybody's doing it.
Right.
And it doesn't matter anyway.
Right. I mean, I think it brings up a good question there is, hey, with the money, I mean, anybody can be paid off. Like, how much are we paying off USADA on certain things?
Yeah.
When, is it necessarily a corrupt system? No, probably not. But is it easily manipulated?
Yeah, I was going to say, as a fan, if you honestly had that inclination that we're starting to rig it now, how much of it is still left as fighting compared to entertainment?
Right. Which, I mean, obviously WWE is entertainment, and they're all on steroids.
yeah.
But again, they're also not out there actively trying to
kill somebody,
permanent damage to somebody. Yeah. That it could really, really cause. For instance, obviously Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, like, I think him and Darren Till are currently writing a book together about their 5 minutes they spent in heaven when they died inside of the octagon.
Wow. Yeah, we can dive right into those two knockouts.
But again, now, I don't think any of those people were on steroids.
No.
And those were all very entertaining fights with big knockouts. Now, if they were on steroids, maybe they could have taken those punches.
See, that's the question.
But again, should you be able to take that kind of blunt force trauma to the head and be able to walk through it to take another one? No, you should get knocked out, get recovered, go to the hospital, and be okay.
I know. I agree with you. But anybody that's been a fan of MMA long enough will agree with me. As a fan, when you can see the punishment that these guys used to take wasn't healthy, they're probably doing a lot of stuff that's going to come back on them later. God, it was entertaining. Just like Mark McGuire versus Sammy Sosa, trying to hit 70 dingers. God damn, was that entertaining.
Right. I remember being in school during that, and the teachers would turn it on TV when they would be up to bat.
Oh, yeah. The whole country would stop to watch Mark McGuire.
Yeah.
And, it is entertaining. So, it's one of those things. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson still doesn't remember walking out of the cage.
Right.
Doesn't remember anything from that knockout.
Yep, but no drugs needed.
No drugs.
So again, entertaining, no PEDs needed.
Yep.
So final word, where do we go? Do we stick with USADA? Do we change anything up? Do we let it happen?
I think right now there's nothing else that can be as good as USADA at the moment, so I think we just continue to go and hope that we catch these guys and the guys that aren't getting caught,
I think we need to set solid ground rules. I think there needs to be certain repercussions that, hey, at this time for this offense, this is what happens, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's microdosing. It doesn't matter if it's you got caught with just some, a little bit, or it's hey, you know what? This is what happened. Here's the level that you got, and you can make different levels of it, right? Like, hey, you got caught with this much, which, okay, this is less of offense than if you got caught with this much.
Okay, so I've heard a lot of people coming out and saying, first time offense, lifetime ban. Yes or no?
No.
Okay, no. I'm with you. No. There's going to be mistakes. There's a lot of pressure. First time, no. Second time, you're getting close, in my book.
Like a 3 strikes, you're out?
I mean, that second strike should be big enough to where you're not even thinking about it,
Right. 4-year suspension.
4 years after you already just had your first offense. That's a year. Then your second one's a 4 year, so you're already at a 5-year suspension. I mean, that's career ending, and that may be what it takes to get these guys to get off the shit.
Right. Now, what about so here? I mean, What about, as we were just talking about, what about punishments for the team? So, John Jones pops hot. Does Coach get in trouble? TJ Dillasaw pops hot. Does Dwayne Ludwig get in trouble?
See, now we're getting into a gray area. I would like to see that because, like I touched on earlier, I feel like it's coming from the coaches down. But you're getting into an investigation. You've got to find out how Duke Rufus got it to him or whoever it happens to be. You know, I feel like you have to, because, TJ was doing that at his house in his bathroom. I had no idea.
Well, can he make the same argument? Oh, I had no idea. Dwayne hired a nutritionist that was feeding me this.
It doesn't matter. Under that rule, we're going to punish them both anyway. I feel like I like it. I like punishing the coach. I just feel like you're...
But, I mean, if you can't punish the coach on it, can you punish the fighter? If the fighter says the same thing, it wasn't me, I didn't know, Coach did it.
Right.
Coach put it in my food, I had no idea.
Yeah, no, you're getting them both anyway in that instance. Which isn't a bad idea, because...
Or does we make you turncoat? Hey, do you admit that you did this? No. Then it must have been your coach. So you both are going down. Or you admit that you did it yourself. Which then maybe you just fall on your own sword for your coach. When you didn't know. I still struggle, though. I still struggle with you didn't know. I don't think that's a thing.
That's the thing I can't. I guess that's the point that really frustrates me right now is the bullshit.
When you're at this level of athleticism and all that, you're noticing micro adjustments in your body.
Yeah.
You're noticing when just a little bit matters. And all of a sudden now you're like, oh shit, I'm fucking awesome.
Yeah, I had 150 grams of carbs today versus yesterday I had 75.
Like,
that's the kind of shit these guys can do as far as feeling the performance of their body. So if you're on some extracurricular, when you can tell if you've had more carbs today, you know.
Yep.
You know instantly. It's not like, oh, those Wheaties really... I worked out for 6.5 hours today and I wasn't even sore the next day. That wasn't your Wheaties, my man.
Right. I agree. Well, I think this is something, though, is just going to be continuously talked about for all of eternity. I mean, as it comes down to... Do you think we're ever going to see... Well, I don't think so, because there are already some in there, but bans from Hall of Fame? Like you have of asterisks next to Barry Bonds' name? There, I mean, stuff like this. I mean, are we going to see that in the UFC? which, by the way, bravo to Michael Bisping, the newest inductee into UFC Hall of Fame.
There's not a guy that earned it more than that guy.
No, he did, for sure.
I mean, the time and the fights that he's brought to fans. Congratulations, Michael.
Yep,
wow.
Definitely deserved it. Really good commentator as well. I have no issues with listening to him talk as well. So I wish him the best too, and hope that he gets a nice long commentative career out of all this.
He deserves it, absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. You seen his? They're doing a little documentary thing on him.
I haven't seen that. I watched some of the stuff where he's on podcasts and stuff like that. I listen to what he says, but I haven't.
They're doing
seen
a whole one of the documentary fightology things on him, I think.
Oh, all right, that'll be something to look into.
Definitely solid.
Yeah.
But I think this is going to be something that we're going to talk about forever and ever and ever. But do you think that ever comes to the UFC? I mean, do you ever put an asterisk? I mean, one of these by Vitor's name and his finishes? Or
no, you can't just because you're going to have to use a lot of asterisks right now.
Right? Do you do a pre-USADA post-show?
Yeah, you just can't right now. Maybe in 20 years when the sport's been around for a long time and some of the newer guys, but you can't go back and punish Chuck Liddell for a 4-day bender down at, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were testing Chuck back in the day, you don't want to see what's in that. You know what I mean?
So him and Tito?
I mean, shit. Tito's green was probably glowing back in the day. So you can't do that in MMA. Baseball, they're going to do what they're going to do. But MMA, there's too many asterisks to talk about.
Yep. Well, I think this is definitely something we're going to talk about more and more as time goes. I think we're all on the same page of something needs to happen. We're not quite sure what it's going to be or how it's going to manifest, but something's got to get done.
From the standpoint, we got to get something worked out. It's too frustrating to watch.
Yeah, when you don't know what it is or what's going to happen or what's going to develop next in it, it's just a big kind of if ball.
Yeah. So we'll keep covering it though.
Yeah, absolutely.